So I was wondering if the atmosphere can be manipulated, changed for the benefit of humankind. If you have any kind humans out there, we'll have to take a percentage level of that. But seriously, so I looked it up, and it's going into solar geoengineering. But let's see what it says here. Yes, the NOAA project is giving humans an almost real time look at what's happening broadly in the stratosphere. It's like a film of particles that is dimming the sunlight. Well, Skywatchers told you that. The satellites can see how thick this film is and how much dimming it does. I know some of you don't believe in satellites. That's okay. Let's just move on. So far, there is no evidence anyone is doing any solar geoengineering on on a measurable scale. Yes, previously they're wondering if anybody privately, without any knowledge of the government, was experimenting in the sky. Also, we only want Big Brother doing the experiments. Let's move on here. A tiny Oh, yes, let's get her name. So far, no evidence of during anyone is doing solar engineering on a measurable scale, said Elizabeth Asher. This is not picking up the light right. Just have to believe me. A scientist with NOAA Ozone and Water Vapor Trail Research Program. What a job that is. In the Global Monitoring Lab. Let's see if it picks that. That's too much light for it. In the Global Monitoring Lab. Global Monitoring Lab. She works on the stratosphere aerosol testing and modeling. Oh. Yes, we knew that strategic stratospheric aerosol testing and modeling was going on for a long time. Yes, she works on that. A tiny startup, listen to this, in California. Coincidence? Let's read the date on it too. A tiny startup in California called Make Sunsets. And us Skywatchers, we know the best sunsets are made out of aerosols, particulates, coming from planes and, you know what I mean, contrails that make chemical reactions in the sky from the engine fuel connecting with the dust particles that draw the water. Well, we already know that. Yes, that attach. Okay, so Making Sunsets, this project, not Sunsets, is launching a few pounds of sulfur dioxide, which David Keith's been talking about for the last few decades, saying he was going to use. What the heck is wrong? Where are you so-called skeptics? I'm too busy on the atheist so-called skeptic shows that I used to enjoy, but they're more about what colored panties you're allowed to wear, if you're a boy or a girl, or yes, that kind of thing. But anyway, on with the topic of skepticism here. Because we're not afraid to delve into these things with our own minds together. Yes, a tiny startup in California called Making Sunsets, oh how cute, is launching a few pounds of sulfur dioxide into the atmosphere every week or so to see what happens. But it's not enough to register in NOAA's testings. Why bother testing then? Wonder whether you'll get any good tests. So, is solar geoengineering a good idea? Well, David Keith thinks it is. Let's look at this little item here. The thinking is that solar geoengineering could buy humanity time as emissions are lowered. Which emissions? Jet emissions or our cars? More laws for our automobiles? Yes. Given the situation we're in, the world is increasingly considering an intervention approach. Please save us, Professor DK and Associates, and Slippery Bill Madison, and the rest of them, Klaus Schwab, Cash Glob. Yes, geoengineering, either to provide respite or to lessen the potential full effects of climate change, like a storm that blows through and burns trees down in whole towns and cities. Just saying. Yeah, it affects the potential full effects of climate change, said Lisa Gromlich, president of the American Geophysical Union. There will be multiple potential questions about solar geoengineering that haven't been answered. But remember, you're the experiment. No need for worriment, because we'll live in our big bunker homes while we watch the show we put on. But there are multiple potential questions about solar geoengineering that haven't been answered. No one knows if it would work. Well, Professor DK has been saying it would for 20 years and says he would put trillions and trillions of dollars into putting sulfuric acid into the skies. He said that decades ago. Yes, I know you're talking about balloons here. Yes. No one knows if it's something humans can accomplish. Even though they've been testing it for decades and we know it, because we've seen the skies and heard the lies and heard the things that Professor DK and associates said they were going to do that they did. Yes, no one knows if it would affect different parts of the planet differently. Professor DK 20 years ago said it would and that many would die. What is this? DK already talked about this. But it's worth it for the benefit of humanity. Hundreds of thousands will die in certain areas. Airheads. No one knows. No one knows if it would affect different parts of the planet differently, like storms, floods, possibly earthquakes and tsunamis. But we won't get sued over them, will we? No one knows what unknown side effects it may cause. We'll find out and we'll take note of it. Let's see what it says here. A weather balloon is launched as part of a National Oceanic Atmospheric Administration's balloon. They administered it to your atmosphere. Baseline stratospheric, special strategies too, aerosol profiles project. I guess they're getting a lot of money for that, which is taking aerosol management to understand what is happening in the stratosphere. The launch was in 2022 from where? Hilo, Hawaii. Oh, so they were studying how the atmosphere would react in Hawaii just a little bit before Hawaii, bad things happen. Let's go down a little further. Given all these concerns, scientists are extremely cautious about the very idea of attempting something that could have such potential, disastrous, large-scale, long-term, and unknown consequences. You see, once these dominoes are pushed, folks, so-called skeptics out there, I'm talking to you, Dat Millifunky and Aaron's Bra, yes, on the Atheist Skeptic shows that think that the government is your grandparents or something, as long as they're people. So-called skeptics' minds now septic, worried about, all they care about is what color panties you're allowed to wear. Let's see what I got. Anyway, it's got a nice snap to it. We got, given these concerns, extremely cautious. The scientists are extremely cautious. Do we believe them? No. Because they know they got plan B, which is get a lot of money on the other end. Extreme for fixing the thing they broke, putting a band-aid on the scab that they rip open. About the very idea of attempting something that could have such potential, disastrous, large-scale, long-term. And that's what's happening in the sky now. You can't fool us. You just can't do it. Long-term effects, because they already started decades ago, and the greed and the money and the power of DK and Associates. They just can't stop. It's a business. See, science is a great tool, one of the greatest tools, but it don't give a damn about a fool. Damn, where'd you go? Don't give a damn about a fool. Yes, long-term unknown consequences. In October, American Geophysical Union released a set of ethical guidelines in a form that would protect themselves. You can count on that. Aimed at countering some of those risks, the ones that are potentially disastrous, large-scale, long-term, unknown consequences, those kind. The guys call for more research, transparency about the potential risks and rewards, including communities that could be affected in the decisions-making process. Skeptics, where are you, skeptics? Did you not see what just happened and hear what this just said? But you can't prove it. Yeah, how convenient. It's unfalsifiable, isn't it? Just like Dr. Tony Elf's shots, unfalsifiable. So-called skeptics. Well, transparency about potential risks and rewards include communities that could be affected in the decision-making process. Oversight. How about Newsom's oversight? And clarity on who's funding such efforts. I'm a philanthropist. Bill Slippery Manison's Bill Gates here, philanthropist. Hi, Bill. It's good to see you be taking care of things for us. I'm only here to help. Well, yes, we know, Bill. Dr. Tony Elf is along here, too, taking the statistics. Yes, Dr. Tony. See what we got here. My floaters are terrible. My eye floaters, really. I got to keep out dodging them. Yes. Decision-making process, oversight, clarity of who's funding such efforts. One thing scientists, conservationists, researchers are clear on is that solar geoengineering is not a get-out-of-jail-free card for lowering greenhouse gas emissions. They love that word, don't they? Lowering greenhouse gas emissions. First and foremost, aggressive actions must remain the primary strategy. Aggressive actions. First and foremost. What? Wait a minute, you're just trying to be careful because, communities could be affected. But you're going to be, first and foremost, aggressive actions must remain primary strategy for addressing climate change. Gromlich said at the Scientific Group annual conference in Washington, D.C. last month. Let's see what this weather balloon says. There's another one right there. You can see it. Maybe you can see it. See what they say down there. The weather balloon launched on November 18th, 2024 as part of the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration's Global Monitoring Laboratory in Boulder, Colorado. That's pretty close, isn't it? Boulder, Colorado. The balloon will test changes in the aerosols in the stratosphere. Let's see how it has an effect on wind speed and direction and atmospheric drop and rise. Yes, Whether global geoengineering will ever happen isn't known. Sky Cousins, do you hear this? Whether geoengineering will ever happen isn't known, but thus far other efforts to keep temperatures from rising too far above pre-industrial levels haven't gone well. Yeah, we see that. We see that. Experts. I'm an expert. I'm an expert too. Well, I would like to get involved in the statistics and see what I can fund in. After all, we need to be careful about these things and ready at all times. Experts in the United Nations Intergovernmental Panel of Climate Change. Yeah, they're going to change the climate, all right. Yeah. Like I said before, experts at the Interglobal National United Nations Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change and at institutions. Yeah, they belong in institutions around the world have long warned the long-term global average temperature increase should be kept below 1.5 and 2 degrees Celsius to avoid catastrophic consequences that are wise in between 2.7 and 3.6 degrees Fahrenheit. Humanity may already have blown past the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold. But it's expected that 2024 was the hottest year on modern record. Oh, they're going to make a whack out of it, all right. There was a time when talk of solar geoengineering was relegated to the fringe of online conspiracy theorists. Yeah, remember that Sky Watching Cousins? Like, what was it, 12, 13 years ago when we started doing the Sky? We were the conspiracy theorists saying that all this crap was going on. And now they're talking about how they need to do it. Let's see. Yeah, there was a time talking about solar geoengineering was regulated to the fringes of online conspiracy theorists and science fiction. But as other efforts have failed, the once dystopian idea is increasingly being discussed by mainstream scientists like Professor D.K. and Associates, Slippery Bill Manishans getting involved in the sidelines with the farmland because he knows what kind of consequences and the negative side, so he wants to be prepared in case they cause too much rain or too much drought over here. So Slippery Bill Manishans Gates will be rescuing probably 50% of society, of the world, possibly, with his associates. Yeah. Special hybrid seeds. We'll have scientists working for him. Not that he's a direct scientist, but he's the man of whatever your worm man. He's the mealworm man. Yes, I didn't mean he's not a worm. He's a mealworm. He works at the Meatless Ham Farm and has the. He's hiring right now. There was time to science fiction. But as other efforts have failed, the once dystopian idea is increasingly being discussed by mainstream scientists, even by environmental groups that once shunned it. They once shunned it. But now even the environmental groups, think of all the money being passed around. Perhaps even greater than the question of whether solar geoengineering should be done is whether it can be done. In the meantime, while they're trying to, as we know they are tinkering, you can expect double hurricanes, quadruple tornadoes, and plenty of wind. Don't forget about the laser beams that can be injected anytime. They're very narrow, they're very hot, and they do cause reactions in the atmosphere as they pass through it. It's such a condensed amount of heat in one spot that touches a small or large area of water in the sky, or electrical impulses that may interact with. Wow. So, yes, even the environment. Perhaps. Question whether it can be done. Yes. While such tweaks, and that's what I asked. I asked if the atmosphere can be tweaked, was my first question to Google. And that's where I got this. They gave it to me. I just asked the right question, I guess. While such tweaks to the Earth's stratosphere might make theoretical sense, so do many things that end up not working, or worse, in the real world. The only one you got. The data has been gathered by NOAA and others will also help scientists. Come on, come on. Damn it! It's not moving. Get that. Help scientists. I can't read it. Detecting somebody trying to initially do something was sort of in the background, said Thornberry. One of the biggest services we can provide is improving how well we can model stratospheric aerosols without actually doing it. Yeah, I've never done nothing but put a few balloons with sulfuric acid in the sky. That's there you have it, my sky watching cousins. Respect and thank you for watching the sky together. Yes. Here it is. The more we know about what the natural variability is, the more we're able to say, that's not natural, or that looks really strange. And Troy Thornberry, the scientist in charge, said Troy Thornberry, the scientist in charge of the program, yes, something really strange could indicate that somewhere on Earth is attempting solar geoengineering, injecting gases and tiny particles into the upper part of the atmosphere to reflect back some of the sunset. Somebody could be doing that. Injecting gas at the cows. This could theoretically cool the Earth, and it has been suggested as a temporary solution to climate change. What, everybody should start... Never mind. Until humanity stops burning the fossil fuels, including your big old jets that pump greenhouse gases into the atmosphere. Something is having a hard time doing. Something it's having a hard time doing. Researchers and scientists have been studying stratosphere since the late 1950s, but the specific NOAA effort began in 2020. Right on the money. Well, I guess I'll upload this ridiculously fun, informative, thoughtful video. It's because I feel like it. Well, this is dedicated to the Sky Cousins. Oh, that's a long one. I'll just put it up anyway. You can speed it up.